everybody! So today I had the chance to see the new young adult novel adaptation film called The Fifth Wave. And while watching this film, I started to think back to a scene from a play I was in high school.
Kids, I don't know what's wrong with these kids today. Kids, who can understand anything they say? Kids, they are disobedient, disrespectful oafs. Noisy, crazy, sloppy, lazy, loafers. While we're on the subject, kids.
Yeah, I'm gonna sound like a big old fogey when I review this movie because I just don't understand what is entertaining teenagers today. You know what my favorite movie was when I was in high school? My favorite movie was Clueless, by a long shot. And then probably Sense and Sensibility and Emma were up there. I really loved the Colin Firth Pride and Prejudice. I love Jane Austen. I loved You've Got Mail. And that was in 98, so that was just as I was finishing high school. But Clueless was my favorite movie, and then of course I loved Disney. You know, I loved Les Mis, which is, you know, has sadder things, but also has moments of levity and hope in there. And I just don't understand these young adult movies. I haven't read the novels, but I hated the recent Maze Runner movie. I kind of forgot about it for my worst of the year, but I did not like that movie at all. I just thought it was unending in the action and the violence, and it was so bleak and so cynical and so sad, and they expected you to care about characters that they had literally just introduced you to. And I felt like this movie, The Fifth Wave, had a lot of those same problems. It's also a dystopian. It's not as good as The Maze Runner. The Maze Runner at least had like better special effects and better sets and things like that. But this is just so dour and it's so downbeat, and I just don't get it. I don't get the appeal. But I have a good friend of mine, she loved it. So she liked it a lot. So could have just different tastes. This is just my taste, it's my channel. But I thought this movie was really bad. I didn't like it at all. So this is based on a series of books by Rick Yancey. And it's basically a dystopian story, kind of quasi-dystopian / disaster a little bit sometimes movie. And it kind of brings in elements of Independence Day. It brings in elements of The Giver and Hunger Games and, you know, all these different things. It stars Chloe Grace Moretz, and she's just the normal girl who's living normal life, and all of a sudden the world starts to fall apart. And like literally, like planes are crashing and cars are crashing, and there's this really cheesy, I thought, special effect of this plane coming in and crashing onto the ground, and that's the first wave of this alien attack. And you know what's really funny is that basically, like, the plot of this movie is very similar to the plot of DreamWorks Home, which I also hated last year, except for it's more drab and more downbeat. At least that had some attempts at humor thrown in there. Like with Home, the aliens want to use our planet, and so the first wave is to send an electromagnetic force that takes out all the power and all the other things. And then the second wave is a giant tsunami that they create and cause all the waters to erupt and everything around the world. And then the third wave is this horrible disease, and it's never really explained like why the aliens have the ability to create these waves, what the aliens really are, where they come from, what their motive. I guess it explains their motive a little bit because they want the land, they want this place to live, but boy, that's a lot to go through for this land. And you know, like, why not? Like, if I was coming to conquer another land, like, I would want to leave some people. You know, I wouldn't want to kill everybody, because how are you going to know how to use things? How are you going to know how to live in this new place if you literally kill everyone? And that's the goal. The fourth wave is that just like in Maze Runner, the aliens become kind of zombies, basically. They overtake the people, and then there's the others, and so it becomes kind of a zombie movie in the last probably 45 minutes of the film. And it's like, who's a zombie, who's not a zombie, and poor little Chloe Grace Moretz is on the run. And there's a couple other characters. There's Nick Robinson, who plays Ben Parrish, who was kind of the boy that she had a crush on. And there's a really ridiculous scene where they've just had like all these horrible things happen to everybody, and her best friend is all texting her like, hey, maybe you can have some end of the world makeout time or something. It's like, yeah, I think that's what you'd be thinking. That seemed ridiculous to me. But anyway, so there's this guy, and he's like the cute guy, and he ends up getting kind of recruited to be as part of this child army that's supposed to go and fight the others. And there's also members of Chloe Moretz's family who also get recruited. I don't want to give too much away, but and it's a really brutal movie. I mean, this movie is brutal. You see whole cities, you see whole civilizations just completely destroyed. People, there's bodies everywhere. There's a point where the Chloe Grace Moretz just shoots a person, and it turns out, they weren't really a zombie. There's a scene where an entire group of adults is basically shot down and killed, and you see all of their bodies in this cabin kind of a thing. I mean, it's brutal, and I just don't understand the appeal for teenagers for that kind of thing, and I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. Like, when I think about like the action movies that were popular when I was in high school, it was more things like Armageddon or Deep Impact, which were definitely like tense, but they also had like humor, and they had like and I mean, I hate Armageddon, so rue the day that I'm defending Armageddon, but at least it was kind of funny at times. I mean, golly, this is just brutal. And because it is so brutal, it becomes extremely predictable. And she ends up meeting this guy named Evan, who's this sort of farmer guy. And he's got sort of a mysterious origin. Who is he? Can she trust him? I wonder. It's played by Alex Rowe. And he seemed too old for the part to me. But there's a very ridiculous scene where you see him like washing off, and you get like the pecs and it's like literally somebody in my theater whistled. It's just like, this is so ridiculous in the middle of this movie. And there's a little bit of sensuality. He just seemed like a completely bland, pretty guy. He didn't have any real like personality, and I guess he's really great in the book, but I didn't read the book. I just saw it in the movie, and to me, he seemed basically like an Edward or Jacob, nothing more. And yeah, it's just not good. I didn't like it. I think special effects were very good. I didn't think that there's not like an interesting, like a good sci-fi should have sort of an interesting sort of metaphor to life. And this was just like destruction and despair and like child soldiers, and to me, it didn't say anything deeper. Like, The Giver is actually like saying really deep things about the need for like a savior and the need for memories, and then it has a lot to say about language and the way that we use language. And even The Hunger Games, I'm not a fan, but it has a lot of interesting things to say about society and what we choose for entertainment and things like that. And so I didn't see any of that in this movie. I didn't see any big metaphors. I didn't see anything that it was trying to say. It was just one bleak, bland scene after another. It was long, it was boring, and I didn't think any of the acting was really that good. It's not terrible. Fault the acting, but there's also a long section where it felt like all of a sudden it's become like this army movie where they're shooting and hunting down, they've got their masks on, and it's like all of a sudden this has become like a Edge of Tomorrow wannabe. I mean, it's not a good movie. I didn't like it. I'm sorry. I give it like a D. I did not think it was good. But like I said, I have a friend who liked it. So you just decide for yourself if you think that sounds like something you would enjoy. But it'll be interesting to see if they end up making another one, if it does well, because I didn't care for it. Let me know what you think if you get to see it, and if you've read the book, what do you think of the book? And what do you think of these trends of these dystopian teen movies / novels? Do you like them? Do you not like them? I'm not a fan. So thanks so much. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll talk to you later. Bye.